there's a way to bend space and time. Why wouldn't there be? It's not illegal to think. I don't care if you think my theory is wrong. Okay, when it comes to aliens and stuff, you think I'm gonna just accept any physics definition of time? Isn't that weird? Hi, welcome to one of my first solo long form videos here on this new channel of mine. Well, I've had it for a while. As you can see, there's only one video about universal asymmetry, and that was a download I had back in 2021. I think that's when it was. So I don't know, I just got the call to start making some long form content, and it's just gonna be, I don't know, thinking out loud, sharing things out loud, just kind of sharing how crazy it's been in my mind since I started publicly sharing about this theory idea that I'm developing about time. And I don't know, I think I just want to start talking a little bit more long form to camera. And I do have a podcast called The Orphic that I do with my friend Michaela. Once I got a professor job last year, we did take a bit of a hiatus just due to busy schedules, but we are going to be back up recording that soon. So yeah, so I'll have that too, which will be awesome. But I don't know, I just feel like I have a lot of things to say. And it's just been a really interesting ride. So whoever wants to join and listen is welcome, right? I guess that's how YouTube works anyway. If you're listening to this, it's because you want to be here. So if you don't want to be here, then don't be here. But all right, a little bit of an overview. Also, since I did have my masterclass out, which was a YouTube link through this YouTube account, I did sort of want to anyway have a little bit more of an introductory video about myself related to that masterclass. I did talk about my background and everything there, but so who am I? My name's Alyssa Sokol. I currently work at UCF, University of Central Florida in Orlando. And I just started a job here as a lecturer. So I am teaching, I have a teaching role. I don't do research with students, but it is also kind of the way that I like it because of how my career has pivoted. And also I just love teaching so much. So before this, I was a visiting assistant professor at Vassar College in Poughkeepsie, New York. And I was also an adjunct there. I was also an adjunct at SUNY New Paltz for one semester there, teaching physics labs. But so now I'm a lecturer at UCF, and it's awesome. I have these huge ass classes, and it's wild. I have over 550 students this semester, and I'm teaching physics and astronomy, teaching one big physics lecture, E&M, electricity and magnetism, one big astronomy lecture, and then another tiny honors astronomy class. So I love that. It's been so fun. It's been great. The energy of UCF is just amazing. I just feel like they're so uplifting, and I don't know, just for whatever reason, I'm meant to be here. I didn't know too much about its department because the people at UCF do planetary science research. So that would be, they do really cool things with asteroids, comets, things on Mars, lunar surfaces, and they have a PhD program and everything, but I never would have overlapped, or I never would have ran into anyone from UCF at a conference because my PhD work was largely in galaxies, or before that, star formation, nearby galaxies. So nobody at UCF really does the large scale universe. But so also just, to recap, I did my PhD at UMass Amherst in Massachusetts, and I did my undergrad at Colgate. So yeah, just some other things, but really, I don't know, just the main thing I feel like I wanted to talk about was just how transformative the last year has been. Just going from a few years out of academia after finishing my PhD, and in that time really having my spiritual awakening just expanding tenfold. It took a psychic development course, learning how to train my psychic and spiritual abilities, which are our intuitive abilities that literally everyone has. But I don't know, it's just been on quite the spiritual journey since 2020. But when I became a professor last year, my first time teaching, it was, oh my God, the expansion in a short period of time was like nothing I've ever felt before. And it's just wild because, we're not meant to be in an expansive, really crazy, like just amazing, like really stretching, expansive phase of life all the time. Obviously, that would kind of be a lot on our nervous system. Sometimes we're in the depths of hell. Sometimes we're stagnating. Sometimes we're expanding. And just the way that this job came about last year that I was teaching at Vassar was just so so on my podcast, The Orphic, it's a very spiritual podcast and also about my own downloads and scientific ideas and everything. And my process of the first episode that we recorded, I was a few weeks out of defending my Ph.D. But it's just that the awakening process is so wild, and when you're in these, what I would refer to as these spiritual initiations early on, and you're in the depths of hell, and I recorded a whole episode about how I was addicted to Adderall by the end of my PhD program, and it was unhealthy and I had to stop, and I quit what ended up being 11 months-ish before I defended my PhD was when I quit Adderall. And it was also the hardest 11 months of my life thus far. So it was a wild time, and that was my pits of hell that I was in for a bit. But where was I going with any of this? It's just been since last September, so like fall 2024, it was just this crazy amount of expansion and taking on this new role and reaching these new levels of confidence as a professor and connecting with students that also love astronomy has been the actual best part ever, because I've just crossed paths with some amazing people that I hope to stay connected to for a long time. And it was just like, and also just, I don't know, the full circle moment of it, of finally going to leading classrooms. And I've been teaching informally most of my life. Like even during college, I would kind of work through this tutoring program and I would tutor in astronomy. And so I've been teaching, I've been tutoring and all these things, but just to have it come at a different, more legitimate level and a larger scale was wild. But just a lot of expansion, a lot of growth. And then this year it's hitting in another way because I started talking about my theory more publicly. And the way that it's evolved in my mind is more so that I've always had these different ideas, or I've just always had these really, really deep thoughts about the universe. And the way that I ended up getting into astronomy was when I was in high school and I took a brief elective course in astronomy. It was like one quarter, it was like 2 months. And it was all about space and the planets and everything. And it's like a switch turned on and I was like, nope, that's it, to the universe, to space. So then from there, physics, astronomy, astrophysics major, but it's always just been this deep curiosity. What it's just been is this feeling of like, I need to know everything. I need to understand everything. And so then I started getting really fixated on time in these last few years, and all of my ideas were about time, and I was seeing things as loops, as cycles. Of course, we know the spiral shape is very significant in life, but also at least people like kind of in the spiritual community, on the spiritual path, know that the spiral is very significant because we're spiraling forward in life. So even if it seems like you're back at the same place, you're not really. You're a little bit ahead. It could seem like you're in the same place, but you're a little bit ahead. And I started making content on Instagram. I started my interdimensional astrophysics Instagram account in 2021. And so a lot of my ideas and downloads were about glitches in the matrix and quantum physics, but also time. And I really just started getting so fixated on time and seeing these geometries in my mind and seeing this visual of, I don't know, just feeling like our plane of existence, just kind of constantly seeing this visual of this extension up, extending up, almost like initially I interpreted that as dimensionality. And initially I was kind of operating under this thought of additional dimensions that are kind of stacked on ours, and everything is kind of just sort of obsessed with this idea that there's more right here. Because obviously there is. There's more here, and seeing this visual of like things extending up more, creating more out of here. And then I became aware of the term stellation, and that there's an actual geometric term for that. So a stellation is extending, it has to do with geometry and polygons and extending faces of polygons until they meet. And then seeing this visual representation of it and being fixated with time. And it was just this idea, like it did start developing a little bit gradually, but just this idea of, because it came on slowly in the sense that it was like, I know that there's more to our reality. And then it was like the more extends up and out. There's more, and I was seeing this extended plane up, and then I became aware of the term stellation. And then when I see these stellated these stellated polygons and everything, so then it evolved into this idea of time, or accessing other planes of existence. And then all of us, and this stuff comes to me in downloads. Like, this is not in the textbooks. It's not in the textbooks. And so it really comes to me in download form, which means I'm very visual, so I see a lot in my mind's eye. And then so there's the combination of seeing and then just knowing. So I'm also very claircognizant, meaning I kind of just know, and I don't know how I know. But then when I started seeing the stellated field, or like seeing these stellated structures, it was just also this, like I see the field in my mind, like I see this geometric field, and I don't know, it's just a knowing that there's something to the structure, and it feels like there's something hidden. The fabric of space-time itself is hiding something that contains access to other worlds. And this is the other thing. I've always known, okay, when it comes to aliens and stuff, what I would always say before I had my real spiritual awakening, and when I really found out that we can telepathically communicate and channel extraterrestrials or interdimensional beings, before I had that awareness, I would always say, all right, I don't know if aliens are around us, but if they are, they have figured out a way to bend space and time, because they sure as hell are not coming here, approaching the speed of light. They're not doing that. So obviously it was also this knowing there's a way to bend space and time. Why wouldn't there be? And I don't think it's wormholes. I don't think it's that. I see it differently. It's a version of a wormhole. But I just know it's like the stargates, right? It's like, how do these interdimensional beings travel? How do we, consciousness is a whole other part of it, but it's like, how do they You know, how like it's not, time is not linear. There's secret, it's just this knowing there's secret hidden pathways and hidden portals and stargates all around the universe. And so then it was connecting the idea of these stellations and this geometry to it being like, this is the structure of these stargates. This is the structure of portals in the universe. And then I started looking up the parallels between crystal growth and structure and understanding that it's not random that I was seeing these shapes or feeling like something is extended up. Like, how do we go up into another dimension? How do we extend our plane up? That's just like what this all really started with, I would say. And then having this understanding that it is fractal, recursive, meaning repetitive, and a scale invariant system. Scale dash invariant means lengths, absolute distance doesn't necessarily matter. It's a system that it's more so governed by ratios. So everything holds true as a ratio of something else, like Russian nesting dolls, almost in that way, that there's ratios of each other. I don't know if that's the best example, but maybe. And so then it came in and it was starting to download into me that it was like, time is fractal and repetitive. And then it was like, obviously it is. How could it not be? Everything in nature is fractal, repetitive, just continuous in that sense, infinite almost. Like the first thing that we see is one little element of infinity or more, what could be infinite. And then it was just, yeah, obviously there's more to time. It was just a deeper knowing, obviously. And kind of just feeling like, yeah, it's a whole other structure. And then the idea was coming in of, okay, yeah, obviously space has structure. Why do we just treat time as one dimension? It makes no sense to me why we would treat time as this simple little burp, when then also on the other side, when I'm going through my spiritual awakening, I'm learning about accessing past lives, future lifetimes, the simultaneity, is that how you say it? The simultaneous nature of time, in the sense that we can, connect to any other moment. When you transition out of this life and you move into your spiritual form, time exists in different ways. So there's also that, just knowing that time is different than we're currently, or knowing that more so there's more to time. There must be more to time than meets the eye. So you think I'm gonna just accept any physics definition of time? And oh my God, the people that comment on my videos that are like, time is just this, nothing more. I'm just like, all right, you can believe that if you want. That's a boring way to live. But I don't know. It's just, I know there's more to the system of time. And that's pretty much the idea that I'm developing, a theory that I'm developing, even though I found out recently, apparently the word theory does mean it's like tested. I don't know. The bottom line is there's so much unknown in physics. And what I'm learning from TikTok is that nobody really knows how much we don't know. Or maybe I'm just reaching the corner of the internet on TikTok that's just super close-minded. I don't know. It's just so frustrating to me because it's so funny, because every astronomy paper that I've ever read in grad school, astronomy, astrophysics is also the least precise science that there is. Every astronomy paper I've ever read in grad school was like, it ends with, or the introduction ends with, the whole thing is the way that this happens, it's still unclear, but it's still unclear how this happens, this. And then the conclusion is like, all right, well, so our results, we think that the galaxies might do this, but we're not really sure. Yet TikTok is like, oh, why don't you have your theory finished already? And I'm like, I'm working on it. Oh my God. So that's just also a little leftover agitation. But whatever, it's more so, okay, the way that I like to frame things, like I'm collecting data, I'm observing through, I've had 2 viral videos this summer, and then one of them was actually on my own original idea, which was that my time coordinate system could explain quantum entanglement, in the sense that quantum entangled particles are sitting on the same stellated coordinate, the same stellated point in that coordinate system, but they appear to be spatially separated. So what it is I'm seeing a whole other system, a whole network of connection, not that dissimilar from the mycelium network in mushrooms and fungi. And I have to be honest, I really don't know that much about it, but I know that under the ground in trees, some people listening to this, if you're listening to this, maybe are a little bit more aware, but under the ground in trees, everything is talking to everything. There's another system. There's a whole other network happening. And that's what I see. And I see it potentially being some aspect of the fabric of time, just some aspect of empty space. I just think there's so much space that we really don't know how empty space operates. And our whole idea of the fabric of space-time, it's one approximation. So that's been some of my musings, some of my observations, but also just, I don't know, I just wanted to say in here that it has been really challenging coming out with all of this stuff and saying these original ideas on the internet, because what bothers me the most is just that people make it seem like I'm doing something morally wrong by like talking about this or sharing about it. Meanwhile, it's thoughts. It's an astrophysicist pondering the very unsolved problem of time. And yet the triggered people are, or what's triggered me the most so far, it's been hard. What's triggered me the most is the people that are triggered, that come on with this reaction of insinuating that I'm doing something wrong. I don't care if you think my theory is wrong. It's when it's projected on me that I'm doing something wrong by sharing it. Isn't that weird? It's so weird. It attacks who I am at my core. And if I was sharing it under the guise of, yep, I have the proof for this in my back pocket. Yeah, I have the proof. Yeah, I'm 100% sure it works this way. Okay, and I'll speak with conviction when I'm talking about my intuition, because my intuition is 100% sure it works this way. I'm not going to say that on TikTok, though. I mean, I'm not going to push anything on you. I know well enough to know that I'll never tell anyone what to do, and I'll never tell anyone what to believe or what to think. But it's just been an interesting aspect of it, and that is what I've noticed has been the most triggering for me, because it's not illegal to think. It's not illegal to share your thoughts. And I know that people are triggered because they've never heard these ideas before, and I know that it could shake up their whole worldview, and I know that not everyone thinks as deeply about this stuff, but there are plenty of people that do. I don't know, it's been a difficult aspect that it's not bothering me so much that I'm going to change anything that I'm doing. It's more so that, when did I start talking about this? Maybe in like May was my first video where I actually started saying what my idea is. I'm building a coordinate system of time. It's like a geometric structure of all these things. And yeah, I just, and then the thing was my video on TikTok about quantum entanglement, my time theory being an explanation potentially for quantum entanglement. That was, when you go viral, you attract the wrong sides of people or whatever. I just don't get it. Like the attacks on, I don't know, the term pseudoscience, don't get me started. nothing is the only thing that could be morally wrong is putting your theory out there and forcing it on people or claiming that it's proven when it's not. That's obviously ethically wrong. I don't know, I've just been really struggling with this. It kind of hits, it just feels like it hits my core. It hits something at the root where I'm not experimenting on people. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm sharing new speculative ideas. And it's also obviously what lights me up. And I love it. So I'm going to continue to do that. Okay. I think I'll leave it here for that video. But this was awesome. I don't know, it was awesome for me. And if you listened, if you're here, thanks. And I'll continue to share thoughts, ideas, downloads, different things. Yeah.